Welcome to the Paint Basket online art classes, and we're busy with our life class, painting a still life, pomegranates and some glasses and a lamp, etc., etc. So let's go over and have a look at what we've been doing, or the part that we're going to be painting today. I'm not going to go over the part that we have done, because we're in part 3. So here we see one, and we're going to be continuing today. We've done the pomegranate, the main pomegranate, and we're going to now start. I'm going to finish the board, the wooden board that it's on. We're going to be doing all the little pips. We're not going to do every single one of them. We're going to just give an indication of the ones at the back, and then of course we're going to be working here on the pomegranate on the right, the one that's been cut open, and then after that we'll start on the lamp, the body of the lamp, which you see just above that there. So I think let's come over now to the here, and I'm going to finish the board first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jack up the color, because I want some nice contrasting here. And right, so if we could have the thing up in the top corner there. So, and as my little thing that we used last time, I'm going to be using my filbert brush, and we're going to come in and start adding these darker colors inside here. And that glass is also throwing a bit of a shadow across into this corner here. And then of course this area down here is going to be much darker. And a little area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this green in the background and just darken up this little corner here for the shade. That's that little handle that goes out to the side. And it's going to be a bit darker in here. Take a little touch of orange into that as well, so it gives it that darker brown. That nice shadow that's going across. And it's going to get lighter as it comes around the side. Of course, we have the light is fairly low, and you have others, this fold here also throwing a bit of shadow there. We have the deeper shadow on the other side. So we take a little bit of orange into that as well, and we start getting that one. It's going to be a little bit darker. When I'm working here, I'm using my brush. I'm not painting hard. I'm touching the very feather light, because don't forget we're working with glazes, and I'm just running over the top. And come there. I'm going to darken this up a little bit more. Take a little touch, wet it a little bit. Drop some color in. Little touch of orange into there as well. That gives it that darker brown. You can always come back and darken up, because all this area on the right hand side here is of the cloth is also nice and dark. So let's do that, and then clean my brush, and then I'll just get the tissue on the side here, just regulate the water. And I'm going to now fade this out softly there so that there's no hard line. Go into there. So we get that. Then a little touch more of the orange into this area. Blend that in. Blend that in this. You can always come back when that's dry and work further onto that one. I'm going to take a little bit more of the orange, and I'm going to just a little tip here. And a little bit in the front side here. You can see where the shadows, it's all in there. So I'm going to put a little touch of orange glaze over this lot here. Bring out the color of the board. And I'm going to go carefully just sort of around the pips. Darken them up a little bit, leaving a little thin little line across here of the lighter color. I'm taking some orange and a little touch of this. And a little touch of that one there gives me some nice little shadow color here. The shadow here caused by all the little pips. And this is going to be also a little bit darker across here. We have that shadow that's going right across. I'm going to add just a little bit of a shadow here under where the glass is. The glass is showing a little bit of a shadow there. And a little touch on this corner here. And the shadow across here, it can be a little bit darker here. Get a little bit lighter towards this end here. While I'm busy on this one here, what I'm going to do is, it's not in the photograph, but what actually happens is the light's shining onto the board, and that reflects underneath of here. So I'm going to very carefully, I've dampened my brush, check that there's no big water blob, and I'm going to very carefully just lift a tiny little piece out here, just to give me that reflection. If it's a bit too light, I can come back and just bring some of that color over. just sharpen, or rather smooth out that line. Just a little bit there, gives you that bit of a reflection. It just makes it look a little bit more realistic. Okay, and then also while we're with this one, so let's take a little bit of the orange, some of that. And this is in the deep shadow here. Take the water, a little bit of orange. It's going to dab that in. And that's this corner here is also going to be a little bit darker. It's not a bit bright red, it's going to be toned down a little bit. And then I'm going to soften this edge here, because here the light is still coming and hitting this corner across here, and this is here is part of the shadow that's going across. Okay, so now I'm going to darken this one a little bit further. So I'm going to take some orange onto here, a little bit that. And I'm going to darken this up here, a little bit further up. Checking my brush against the tissue. See what I've done, I've got a tissue here, and every now and again I just check my water content on the brush. And here I'm going to very lightly just soften this edge so that there's no hard line. So that gives you that nice rounding through to there. Just bring that up. I want a little bit of a yellow line here across that. It'll show when we start doing the pips in a few minutes. And let's do the pips first. We work here and then work there and then come up to here. Now I'm going to take a very small brush. I've got one here. And all right, before I do that, the pips there's a basic underneath, the same as the other. It's a basic yellow color. So I'm going to take some yellow. Very light. You can see I'm not even mixing anything at the moment. It's coming onto there. And I'm going to need a little bit more water. And I'm going to very lightly just go over this lot. Which is the basic color. And then when we add the other darker color, we leave some of this yellow, which will be part of the highlights, the areas that the light is reflecting off them. So there we go there. Okay. And I think while that is drying, let's go up to this one here. And up there, so I want to add some masking fluid here. Thank you. I'm going to use my tiny little brush, or not necessarily a real tiny one, but I've got here what's the number 3 round. That's good enough. Now I'm going to take my masking fluid. When you got the masking fluid, don't shake it to loosen it up if it's been standing some time. Otherwise, you're going to be full of bubbles, and then you're going to have a problem. What you do is just tip it up and down a few times. Now that will mix it nicely. without causing any bubbles. Then I'm going to open that up, and if you look in the insert, you'll see there all the little yellow patches inside here. So we've got yellow. So I'm going to put some masking fluid carefully in some of those little areas, so that when we work on this area here, when we take it off, we'll have these nice little yellow patches. It's so easy to lose them when you got the other. So I'm going to first wet my brush, and then take a little bit of masking fluid, and I'm going to carefully have a look and see where the areas are. You can rather have them a little bit bigger than you need. You can always hone them down later on. Then we got some in this area. Don't forget, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as in the photograph. All we want to make it is just to make it look realistic. There's a little bit of a highlight there. There's some other in this little area here. Two little patches. A few other little highlight areas. Yeah, just put them sort of more or less where they are. I'm not trying to get them in exactly the same place. What it does, it just gives that little bit of a sparkle. Okay, so that's done there. And let me just put the hairdryer on, and I want to touch a few little places on here with masking fluid. I just want to put the hairdryer on this one quickly. It's also easy to lose part of those highlights. So just swirl my brush out again. So doing that every so often, you won't have masking fluid ruining your brush. I'm using a brush that I normally used to use for painting. So I'm going to take some of these ones and add a little spot on the ones in the front here, and make the spot too big, but of course we can always hone it down again. Don't have to do every one, just a few of them, especially the ones in the front here are going to catch more highlight than the others. So let's see, maybe that one there. Trouble with this on the yellow, you can't see where you added masking fluid beforehand. So if you had doubled up, doesn't matter, safety's sake, belt and braces, as they say. Okay, I think that's good enough. So, right, and close the masking fluid up, nice and tight. Put it away, clean my brush. Yet I've used masking fluid and my brush is still good as new, and I'm going to be using the same one now to paint here. But before I paint, I just want to make sure that that masking fluid is 100% dry. And when you put masking fluid down, make sure that the background is dry, otherwise you can lift the paper up. Okay, just to make sure that that is dry, so let's go along here now. Let's add our basic color on, which is a very light red. So I'm going to just put that down there. I've got a little touch of the red here. And I'm just going to go over the whole lot now because we've got our little areas there where we put masking fluid. Don't forget, this is basically all in the shade here. So there's really no bright lights here. Oops, I want to get the, and also be some orange in there as well. Can be streaky in here, doesn't matter. There's a lot of things going on, so it doesn't really matter. So let's put it there. Some places open, have a look at it and check it and see where we can now start. While it's still wet, some darker areas. So you've got some darker areas here. And there's some darker areas in this area. Add some orange in here as well, in this corner. You can see the little areas now where the masking fluid has been showing up. So I'm going to take a little bit of this color and start adding the shade color in. Always go over and put another glaze of red over that. I just want to get this brightness away. And for those yellow pieces to show up nicely, you need that slightly darker. See, what I'm doing is watercolor, you start light and slowly build up as you go along. Because this one must not be in competition with the main one. So we've got very little bright lights coming on here. The only area is basically this little area here, which also needs a little bit of more red into it. So let's do that while I've got it here. In there, and a little bit of the yellow tinge on this corner. Right now, let's add some more red into here. So this is basically this green is the opposite color of your red. So adds a lovely shadow color for the red. A bit darker in the center in this area. There's some darker areas across here. Put some of that green into this area. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as in the photograph. Add a little bit more of that into here. Now that's dry, so we can darken up this little corner. Okay, while that's drying, let's go over now to the pips. And I'm going to first use some orange, very lightly, and I'm going to, along the tops of each of these one is a darker area there, and down the bottom. So it's like a little half moon. You can see the little half moon what I'm doing here in the front. Just Bring a little bit more of this nice stronger color here. Just doing it roughly at the moment. Don't forget, we still also got that marking fluid that's in these ones. I'm more interested at this stage, the ones in the front. I'm going to subdue all those at the back. Because if the front ones are okay, your brain will tell you all the other ones are similar. It's no use doing every single one. Okay, we start lighter. I'm going to start, got that up, so I'm going to start beefing up some of these ones. Not all of them will have highlights on because some are hidden behind the others. Some of the colors don't always show up the highlights so well. I'm even trying to do them 100% accurately. All I want to do is the impression. Don't forget, this is your main thing. This is just supplementary to that. This and these glasses here is your actual focal area. You've got 1, 2, 3 points. Okay, I think while that is drying, let's go over to the other one here. And I think what we can do, okay, we've got this area here with all those pips. I'm going to put one color and then I'm going to lift out some of those where I need to. All this is a darkest reddy color, so we can go over all this here. So you want that red tinge to be there, not... As you can see, this is very simplistic. And I'm now going to put the hairdryer on. All right, let's take a little touch of orange and a little touch of this red. And I'm going to... I hope you put your pencil marks enough that you can just see the pencil. All these are tightly packed together, and as you go further back, you're not going to see each individual ones. You're only going to see virtually the tops of all these pips. The ones with the highlights, don't cover them up, especially the ones in the front here. Just touching some of those. Now we're going to start putting some shadow colors inside there. But before we do that, I just want to dry this and get rid of the, right, I think what I do, there's some of the ones here, I want to beef up the color, make it real strong. So I'm going to take up some nice strong pigment here and check where some nice big ones up in this area here. The stronger ones inside there. These will lift out nicely once we start putting the shadow colors in. Some nice, these ones here are all bundled together, so you can just make it a bit on the spotty side, not problem. There you go. So that's slowly starting to show up. Okay, I'll put the hairdryer on and then we can come and start putting some shadows in there. Right, now to lift that off, what we do is good old masking tape is the best to lift off masking fluid. Take that and then don't pick it up, just run it across the top. You can see all the nice little highlight bits that's lifted up there now. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take a little bit more of this yellow and add some of that in there. Because there's no white in the actual pips themselves. Yellow is the basic color. So there we start getting some of the pips coming. Now I'm going to be using the same old colors that we're doing here at the moment. I'm going to use some of this green. It's very dark. And if I need to darken it up a little bit, what I do, clean my brush, pick up a little bit of red into that one, and pick up some of the edging here. And you get a nice dark shadowy color. Let's do that there. And underneath these ones here, we're going to start putting some. And if those shadows are a little bit too dark, what we do is we come along and we can just underneath, tone it down a bit. That's one. Inside here, here and there we have a few little shadow marks. Just random. Your brain fills in all the rest. This is very, very impressionistic here at this stage. To darken up some of that red. A little touch of this here. See, now I can start controlling some of these little highlights. If they're too big, I can reduce them a bit. At the same time, making the pips nice, little bit on the dark, the nice bright red side as well. In places here, I'm just using my imagination. Yeah, it's small. It's not a big painting, and I think that should be good enough at the moment. But I'm going to take a very let's see what it says. Sundaram, are the colors the same in oil painting also? And what care should we take while painting in oils? No, you won't be using masking fluid in oils. Oils, if you want to really mask anything off, you can use some of the clear tape, put it down and then trim around it. If you've watched the first one that I've done, the first part, what I did was I put masking tape across here. You can also in oils do the same thing, but masking tape, trim around, and then remove this this outer side, and then do all your painting, and then you can pull it off. You can also use the clear tape that they use for book covers, etc. But masking fluid will not work for oils. You can use masking fluid, masking tape, or the clear cover. The colors will be the same if you're making an oil painting of this one here. Do exactly the same, no problem. The colors I've used here for this is just cadmium red. Here the yellow that I'm using is lemon yellow and cadmium orange. And then, of course, this other one here I mixed up with viridian, burnt sienna, and a touch of yellow into it. Give me a very dark green background. Okay, so I hope that's right. Okay, and now I'm going to use a little bit of that same shade color. That's dry. I'm just going to very, very lightly keep my tissue in hand just in case. Very lightly, I'm putting an absolute light glaze over the top. Just to bring that background and shadow, I want to lift out all these front ones. The front ones are the ones that catch your eye, and you shade that down a little bit on the other side. What happens is your eye is not too worried about detail in that area. It's looking at these ones in the front here. Okay, and then of course there's a little bit of shading. These ones here are also throwing a little bit of shading out here. So let's do that a bit, and that lifts it up a bit. Okay, so we got that. Now we're coming into this area here. Take some more of the masking tape, and that's dry by now. I'm going to lift that off. There we have a nice little sparkle. Of course, now we're going to be toning that down, but at least we've got our areas of work from there. Now I'm going to be using some darker color. I'm going to take some of the red on the side here. I'm going to get some, it's all toned down, the red and the green opposite colors, give you a shade. And I'm going to darken that in, and let's say add those like little pips, or they're open where there are no pips out there. So let's darken that. But some other darker areas around the outside here. I want to mix a bit of, I'm going to go into the red here now, and I don't need pure red anymore, so I can mix a little bit of this other color in here. Now I'll get me some nice dark colors. Also again, just impression. And a bit of dark in here. You're not going to see too much detail in here. Got some see now I can, these ones here, I can sort of tone, reduce some of these ones. They're not so big. And I'm going to come into them and also not make them quite so bright. There's all little marks inside this one here. Very light. The outside edge. I'm not trying to copy it exactly. I'm just going to get the more or less what it looks like in there. Already colored down this end here. Okay, now I'm going to dry that. Yeah, I'm going to start lifting out some of these pips. Got them in shade. Show them. Now I'm going to reduce some of this yellow. I'm going to put a very light just toning it down ever so slightly, but don't overdo it. It's not absolutely bright yellow. Now to make that stand out, I'm going to come along and with the tip of the brush, start doing some little bits of outlining now. See how I'm bringing those pips out. I'm going to add another little pip in there. And just lift out that little piece. Add another pip. Some in here which are not easily seen. You can sort of just give the impression of them there. Piece of masking fluid here that has not been taken off. I need to dry that first. So that's a little highlight there on the tip. There's my masking tape. There we go. Just run my finger. Okay, that's the only one. So now let's just tone that down a bit. It's just a tiny little spot. Nice little highlight there on the corner. Okay. A few little darker spots now that this is dried a little bit. I'm not going to do any more than that, except now I need to bring those into the red color. So I'm going to take a bit of red and just tap some red over it. That's all I'm going to do there. What we can do is I'm going to start and do this little bit here, so that the next class we can go along, finish this piece, and then go along with the glass. So now I'm going to be using a little bit of a bigger brush. There's my other one. Same one here. And can we just have a look at the this area here. Down a bit. Down. Yeah. I want to see that. There we go. Thank you. So there we have this top bit, and there's a little touch of orange in that area. Very light orange. So let's put the base of the orange in. Earlier, sorry. Right. Let's move that down to there. There we go. And then I'm going to put a very, very light touch. Into this area here. All I want is just that very light color. Then I'm going to come with some of this greeny color and come in, while that is still wet, I'm dropping it into this side here. Remember, we're starting light and slowly build up. Light's coming from this side, and this side is going to be a bit lighter. So you see, when this is wet like that, you don't have that absolute sharp line. And the side underneath here is going to be a bit darker than the rest. I will take a little touch of red into this area here. We'll tone that down at a later stage. Okay, so we have a little touch of red in here. What I'm doing is I'm taking some of that, some more red, and I'm dropping this in here. But later on, we'll come along and add a little touch of this glaze over the top to blend in with the others. At the moment here is just getting this in. We can actually add a little bit more of this greeny color in. The background color. to take a little touch of yellow into this area. Tiny little touch of yellow, because we've got that yellowy green coming up. Slowly building up the color. This isn't the final color, but we're building it up. I'm looking at all the underlying colors at the moment here. So slowly we slowly be building that up. And there's a little touch of orange into it. That warm light. And then while I've got my wet brush, across here, there is a little wheel for adjusting the wick. So let's lift it out slightly. Don't forget it is in the shadow. Oop, I've lifted up some of that other color there. All right, let's go back again. I'm going to add quite a bit of this green into there. It's a bronze, has quite a bit of green in it. Some of it will be lifting out. Let's remember that, yeah, okay. Anybody painting along with me today? Just putting a little bit of texture there in for the wick. And I'm going to take a little bit of this stronger color. There's an area here which shouldn't be a light area, that must be the dark background, so I'm gently coming along and filling that up. There we go, because there must be sort of a merging of this color into here, because it's very dark on the one side. We're going to come back with this one. I'm just going to soften off this edge. This is dry. I'm going to be coming back over this one and over this one here to build it up. So let's do the base color of this one. It's coming up to an hour, so let's give the base color of this one here. So I'm going to, the base color of that one is first a little touch of yellow. Here's a little touch of orange. Especially around this area here. Now I'm going to take a bit of this green background color and bring that into there. Much darker in this area here. Next effect is going to be very much darker, but I don't want to do too much right now. We'll leave that for the next class. The next class we'll finish this, and we'll be working up on the glass area. That one and this one here. Let's get all that in. No light line around that edge. We need to, any bit of a white needs to disappear in here. This is nice and dark right in this little area. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just soften off this edge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wet this inside bit first, and then come up to this edge, and you'll find that it'll blend out without a hard line. So there we go. That's the start of this at the moment. And then later on, let's zoom out a little bit here. Is this? So we've got an idea of what's happening at the moment. So we've got that. And yep. How much more time we got? Okay. Okay, let's work on this one here. I'm going to take some red. Actually, I'll dry that first so we can do a glaze. To mix it very dark red with a little touch of this here. Too red, and add some more green. when I work with the glaze, what I'm doing is I'm working very softly. I'm actually working with the flat, with the flat of the brush. And just skimming over the top. Very lightly. Everything going around so that I've got the light against the dark, so that one shows up. That goes in here. How long the watercolor painting like this stay fresh to look on the wall? Okay, that's a very, very good question. First of all, if you're using very, very cheap paint, student quality, what happens, they're not light fast. And it can fade. The other thing is that when you hang your painting up, hang it on a wall that is away from the direct sunshine, because the ultraviolet rays with any painting will reduce the thing. But another thing is, of course, your watercolor painting must be framed behind glass. So you don't want any air coming onto the paper with oxidization. When it starts to oxidize, then also your painting starts to fade away. So the big thing is to be careful where you actually hang it, and also to frame it behind glass. So I'm slowly building this here. Not getting that. Don't forget, it is quite dark. Bright lights, and you have the roundness here of the thing, so that should also come down a bit here. All this area across here is going to be darkened up later. So let's. I don't want to get this too smooth. This is an old lamp. It's been around all over the place. It's seen a lot of service. So I think let it dry, because I want to lift out a little bit of color here for the highlights just now. Let's do this lot up here quickly. And also that orange is red is a little bit too tone that down a bit. A touch of orange in here. That one. Okay. I'm just going to finish this bowl. Then the next class, I'm going to do a little detailing on here when it's dry, and then we're going to go straight to go and start doing this glass, and then the other one. So I just want to lift out a bit here, so I need a little touch of that, like a yellowy green color in here. That light is hitting the side. That. Make some yellow. You see that little glint of the copper, so I'm going to put in here as well. The brass. Just dabbing it. If I start brushing, I start lifting up the other color. But here can actually get the much more yellow. Yeah. Okay, let's leave that for the time being, and then we'll carry on next week. Okay, so let's call that a day. We've done the pips, the board, this one, and that, about 95% finished, and then we'll start doing the rest. Okay, so okay, there you go. Thank you very much for being here with the class, your patience, the trouble that we had earlier on. And if you have enjoyed watching this class, you can always watch more on our online artlessons.com website. And we have over 400 of them more that you can watch there. So head over there and see what you can do. There's a lot of classes there for you as well. So from me, keep well until next time. Ciao for now.